There we go. Breakfast. Now the good thing about pancakes is they can be done in advance. This is something that can be cooked quite easily the night before and easily reheated. Okay, so pancakes reheat beautifully. So we are doing wholemeal banana pancakes. What is the difference between wholemeal flour and regular flour?
Wholemeal different.
How? How is wholemeal flour different to plain white flour? Wholemeal flour is healthy. We're going to discuss what. There's definitely a different texture, but what is in wholemeal that isn't in the white fluffy flour that we normally use? Right, who knows what a grain looks like? Right, so this is our grain, our wheat grain, okay? It's made up of a couple of bits. So this is the husk. So in here, this is your husk. This is the endosperm. I'm just going to check and make sure I've got my words right. I'm going to make sure I've got them round. I usually do them round the wrong way. I'm just going to check.
Just on, no, why? Why, just on, no,
Yeah.
why?
What do you like?
Yeah.
Diagram of the grain. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. The husk, or this is called bran. This is called the, oh my goodness, I've already forgotten. My brain is not working today. Alright, this is your husk. That is the outside of the grain. This is the wheat germ, okay, which is the part that the new plant will grow from. Always looking here. The part that the new plant, so if we were to plant this seed, that is where the new shoot would come from. And this is the endosperm. That is the part that the new plant would grow from. So it is its initial nutrition before it becomes a plant. Okay? When we mill flour, we get rid of the husk and we get rid of the germ. And all you end up is the endosperm, this part. With whole meal flour, what do we end up with? Everything. All of it. We grind the whole grain and you end up with the bran, the endosperm and the germ. Okay? It is a much denser flour. It will be heavier, but it also has a whole lot more fibre in there for you. Okay, so it is a much better option. If you were going to choose between white bread, whole grain bread, and wholemeal bread, how does whole grain bread look different to wholemeal bread? Yeah, it has bits in it. Now, usually our body cannot break those down. They will pass through your body completely. Not a bad thing, no, because it's fibre, okay, and it helps loosen things up. I know, let's talk about the end of the system. But fibre is there so that things flow through our body properly. But waste products are removed efficiently and with less pain and agony. Okay? Wholemeal flour, they grind that up for us and our body is able to absorb that flour better. Okay? So it is actually a good option for you to have a wholemeal product. It's even better than whole grain, because your body has to do less work to deal with the extra bits. Okay? So we are doing wholemeal banana pancakes. We need 2 bananas, 1.5 cups of wholemeal self-raising flour. That means it already has its raising agents in it. Who can tell me what a raising agent for flour would be? That helps things rise, yes? Do you know what we put into flour to make things rise?
Yeast.
Yeast, but we're not using yeast. Yeast is a raising agent. No, corn flour is not. That's a thickener. Yes. What do we put into cups, cakes and batters and things like that to make it rise?
Eggs.
Baking powder. Who's heard of baking powder? Yep. Anything else? Bicarbonate of soda. Those are 2 things that you can put in. Okay, somebody who's done a bit of homemade. So she's got a bit of, yeah, she's been doing it for a while. So you've remembered. Alright, so this already has the raising agent in it, so it's going to rise for us. So we need 1.5 cups of buttermilk. Now buttermilk is a little bit different to regular milk. It has been fermented a bit. It is what's left over after you make butter. So buttermilk, so if you get cream and you whip it for long enough, you'll end up with butter. We do that actually in term 3. We get to make butter. Okay, and the byproduct is buttermilk. Now it smells nasty. Have a smell? Take a deep whiff.
Lachlan doesn't think it's nice.
It does smell like sour cream. It smells a bit like sour cream. Okay?
Yeah.
It is not off. It is just a byproduct of making butter.
It smells like sour cream.
It's not off, I promise.
It smells like milk.
If it's off, it's chunky.
No, it smells like.
It smells like sour cream, but very strong.
Yeah, very strong sour cream.
Yeah, it does smell like butter.
Yeah.
It smells like spoiled milk. That's what it smells like.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know what sour cream you're using.
Oh, I hope you don't think I'm nice.
Taste.
Oh my god, it tastes great.
Boys, it really does help if you try things. Alright?
Just eat that.
But it's a bit unusual.
I keep smelling.
I would sniff it. It gets a little bit, it's kind of cream, like a creamy yellowy colour. Alright, I'll show you when I pour it out. 2 eggs, a tablespoon of honey. We're going to use some cooking spray to cook in. These are our new pans we just got. Aren't they beautiful? And honey or passion fruit or maple syrup to serve. Yep, fruit on top. Alright, so we're going to mash banana. Mash our bananas. First thing we'll do is mash our bananas.
Not to mash it on the board.
Sorry.
So
Huh?
much easier. Just to mash it on the board.
I'm not mashing on the board because then I got to scrape it off the board and clean it off the board. Now, ooh, okay, somebody's done something to mine. Banana's a bit yucky on one end.
Actually,
Alright, so I'm going to take the banana out. Give it a chop. Oh, it's escaping. In it goes. And we're going to give that. Now normally I would just use one of our bowls. We don't currently have any, so. And we're going to use a fork. Going to use a fork to mash. Could use just a plate.
why do you use buttermilk instead of
Buttermilk has acid in it, like it's an acidic thing, and so when you put the buttermilk, it reacts with the baking powder in our self-raising powder, causes more bubbles. And you want bubbles in pancakes because that helps it to rise. So that's why we use the buttermilk. Buttermilk pancakes just end up with a fluffier version. And when you're using wholemeal flour, which is a denser flour, you want to add a little bit of extra rise to your product. You just want to get those mashed. Using a masher, it's just quicker. If I had a regular bowl, it would be quite easy with the fork, but I don't have any. They're coming. They're on order. Right, so there's my mashed banana. There's flour in a bowl. So we're going to use our flour. So we're going to make sure we get it level. 1. And a 1/2 cups. 1.5 cups. Make a well in the center. Just make a well. And we are going to use that earlier. And we're going to measure 1.5 cups of our buttermilk. It's quite thick. It's thicker than regular milk. Okay, it's quite a thick product and it's not as white. Can you see that? It is the byproduct of making butter. Okay? So 1.5 cups. And I'm going to put my eggs in here. I'm just going to check and make sure my eggs are good. Okay, just hold on. I'm good for now. Alright. 1 egg. Remember, I'm cracking my eggs into another container just to make sure they're good. 2 eggs. Honey. Honey. A tablespoon of honey. This is what we're using as a sweetener. The banana and the honey are our sweeteners. We're not putting any sugar in these. So honey is a natural sweetener. One would think it would be runnier today than it is now. Come on. Now honey is one of those products that does not go off. You will not find a use by date on honey generally, or if there is, it's a best before. So it says best before August 20, but if you store honey properly, it should not go off. You can tell it's gone a bit funny if you contaminate the honey with butter or something like that, or toast, which has happened at our house plenty. Or if it sits in too hot a temperature, it'll go crystallized. So it'll plug up and go crystallized. Okay. Now I'm just going to give that a stir and break up the eggs and mix the eggs in. I'm going to start heating up my pan. So now we will use some of the electric frying pans next week. Put the electric frying pans on heat 4. You just pour that in.
How much milk did you say there was?
1.5 cups. And we're going to whisk. Whisk this out. Whisk this. It's quite a thick batter. You just want to combine, you don't want to overdo it, just combine the ingredients. And then we're going to add our banana. There we go. Now I'm going to just let that sit for a minute. I want there to be a reaction between the buttermilk and the flour, which will actually start to create bubbles in our batter. So you want it to just rest for about 5-10 minutes. I'm not going to be able to leave it for that long because we don't have that much time. But this is the first time I've used one of these pans, so I'm going to season it. So I'm going to give it a bit of oil and give it a bit of oil. Seasoning a new pan is really important. Make sure that it doesn't stick in the future. Give it a really liberal. You can use olive oil, so you can go and get yourself olive oil and give it a white. You just get right up the edges and let it heat right up. So I'm going to let it get really hot and then I'm going to let it cool down a bit. Now you can serve this with extra fruit, any topping that you really desire. Maple syrup is a nice, fresh, natural maple syrup. Boys, you are not listening to me, you're chatting. Please don't. But as this sits, it will slowly get little bubbles in it. And anytime, oh my dear, who's calling me? Go away. Anytime you do a batter like this, you do need to let it sit. pancake batter needs a bit of time just for the milk and the flour and whatever rising agent you've got in there to react. And of course, it's a little bit of a fermentation thing. So we're going to let that get a bit hotter. Heat up. Now you need to spray each time you go and put more pancakes in. So everybody will have one of these on their table bench. Just spray. You smell it's been sitting in a shop, and so it just smells a bit funky. So I don't want that smell to be in our pancakes. So just going to put something on that. Not sure what's on my.
What's burning?
Something's burning. Don't do this one. All right. It's stinky. Something on my hot plate. And one more time.
But do we have to do that?
Not if you're not using it. This is just dealing with the new pan. I am starting to get some little bubbles forming, but not many. I won't get a lot. When you do make them, you want to use your 1/3 of a cup as your scooper. Okay, so that's a good way. Instead of pouring it out of the bowl, which is always a mistake, you end up with too much. You do not want to make your pancakes too big. Pancakes are about this big, now not any bigger than that, because if you make them too big, they don't cook in the middle. Okay, you need to have a pretty special pan. Turn that down now. To make sure. You do not want your pan too hot, or it will burn on the outside and be soft and mushy on the inside. So you want a medium temperature pan. You don't want mushy. You want the batter to be cooked all the way through. I'm going to get sneaky. Don't have lots of time. So we're going to use about a 1/3 of a cup.
I put 2 on.
Yeah, I will. In the electric frying pans, we can usually fit 3 or 4. But usually 2 or 3 is best, because then you can get the lifter in to lift it. Now, how do you know that they are done?
Bubbles.
You wait for the bubbles, and around the edge will look dry. Look dry. I had the fun of trying to recreate pancakes as a cake. So I needed to make a cake look like a stack of pancakes. And so getting the right colour and putting little bubbles in, all very important to get the effect. I'll show you my end result. So you just have to wait for it to cook until you start seeing little bubbles appearing on the surface. This is quite a dense mix, so it will take a little bit longer. I'm getting little bubbles around the edge. I haven't let this sit for as long as I would like. I might turn this on. So you can see. They should move in the pan quite easily if they are cooked fully. Only a little bit. Only just touching. When I flip them. Alright, I'm going to put some paper towel on there just to absorb any moisture from the heat. See how they move quite freely in there? Just checking to see if I've got good colour. I've still got a little bit of soggy in there, so I'm going to keep it going. For that one time, Mrs. Cook and I made something like 400 pancakes. We were very, very expert at it by the time we were done. Oh, I like the print. See the waffly pattern I've got because of the base of my pan. Look at that. And then I'm going to squirt again. Just a nice light squirt. It is a bit